British man Owen Williams. He shared a Twitter pic of a dozen presents for his 2-year-old daughter. Seems like a pretty normal story, but they weren't the gifts. They were not from him. They were from his 87-year-old neighbor who had just passed away. The now deceased elderly man pre-planned the gifts so his neighbor's young daughter can open them up for the next 14 years, all the way up until she's 16 years old. The 2-year-old's father went ahead and created a poll question to see if they should open them all up at once, and he received 67,000 responses, mostly in favor of opening, a few making it a tradition all the way up until she's 16. What a cool story. This is clearly what Christmas is all about, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And I think, they asked the poll question, should they open up all now? Because, trends change, things change. Will those gifts mean something in 16 years? Absolutely. I think the point of, when we lose people close to us, neighbors, friends, family, they're not really gone if you keep their soul, their spirit alive and going. And each year they can tell this story, and not only share the legacy with the daughter and with people in the family, but to everyone in the community. I want to follow this guy to find out what those 16 gifts are and keep that labor's legacy going on.
I know, it's really cool to think about. That was my initial thought too. I was like, how's he going to know what this girl who's 2 is going to be into when she's 16?
Right.
But it's like it could be a time capsule. And
It
it's just
never
like
lets her
keeping
forget
that memory.
him. Yeah, he'll live on.
It's not about the gifts at all.
Yeah, it was his idea. He thought he'd live till he was 100. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But his whole idea was, I want to be able to gift this young girl as she grows into a woman something. So I think it's a fantastic story, the fact that he will now be able to be a part of her life. And as you think about the holidays and what it's all about, this is absolutely what the holiday season is about.
And I love that he even thought about doing that. That is such a beautiful gift of just the thought itself. To think about this little girl, your neighbor, I'm sure he has multiple neighbors, but just to think about her growing in 16 years and being a part of that mission.
Yeah, with her life ahead of her.
So awesome.
Absolutely. Treat your neighbor as you would like to be treated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening with this story here. All right, so this next story involves youth as well, but in a different kind of way. The youngest woman elected to Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she decided she's taking time out for self-care. Now, self-care is obviously taking time in a stressful environment to focus on you so you can be your best self. She's decided to take 2 weeks off to recalibrate before her term begins out there in New York, which will begin just after the new year. And she was citing exhaustion from her campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And said she needed time to recalibrate so she could be her best self for her people. So social media, they're always going to weigh in.
Yeah, right?
They're going nuts, and they're calling this lazy, calling her lazy, and saying this is a joke. So I ask you guys, is Alexandria in the right for this move here?
Well, she's a piranha now for the right. They love attacking her because of her democratic, socialistic ideas. They love going after her. So a lot of people that are making these critiques are from another generation, from the GOP side of things. And, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Sure.
But everyone takes vacations. President Trump's going on a 2-week vacation to Mar-a-Lago, and that's nothing against President Trump. President Obama will go to Hawaii for 2 weeks every year.
For this very reason.
For the same reason. They are stressful jobs. She just came out of a busy campaign. And look, I don't necessarily agree with all of her policies, but a little self-care for everyone. Vacation, it's a great thing. We should all welcome it, and then she'll be refreshed, ready to go for January 3rd for the swearing-in.
I almost think she's getting lambasted because she was so open about it. Saying, instead of just saying, I'm going to take some time, she's calling it self-care. She's saying exactly what she's doing, and I think people are like, wait, what? Is this real?
It's just because she's calling it self-care, right? It's like everyone takes that. Like you said, everyone needs a vacation. Anyone who's against self-care needs more self-care. Like, it's all about being the best version of yourself. I mean, we're like in this, we're in this society where it's like, work hard, play hard. I'm like, sleep hard. That's what I want to do.
Do yoga, meditate, pray, relax. I was reading the article like screaming, like people have a problem with it.
I know.
Like, what do you mean? Taking care of yourself. Well, my goal was to take care of self-care December, but that hasn't really happened.
You still got January.
I
have
a day or two.
You're right. It's because she called it that.
It's because she called it self-care, but it's so important. You have to take care of you. And you know what? I was talking about it earlier, and I listened to it this morning. I listen to motivational audiobooks every morning, and it said in the book this morning, when you go on a plane, what do they tell you? The first thing to do if the plane goes down, put the mask on yourself first.
So that you can help other people.
So then your child, and then the person sitting next to you. If you don't take care of you, how are you going to take care of anybody else?
It's a really good point.
Really, really good point.
You mentioned the left and right, but I think it's generational too. Like, I think that I value self-care. I think a lot of millennials, Generation Z, that's a new thing, a new way to put it, as opposed to just vacation time. But if you talk to our parents' generation, some people might be like, oh, come on, work every single day. But what is that? Is that good for our health?
No.
Are we better if we get some time off so we can be better at our jobs when we return?
Well, it might be why the generations, as we progress as a human race, why people are living longer, because they're taking these necessary steps. But I'll tell you what, if I told my father, like, man, between the 2 jobs I'm working, I'm just really tired.
Yeah.
I just need 2 weeks to escape. How about when I graduated college and I saw some of my rich friends say they're going to go ahead and visit the world and see different things and take some time off to find themselves. My parents are like, no, you'll find a job. You won't find yourself, and then you'll work. And especially when you're younger, like Alexandria is, a lot of people would argue, work really hard now so you can set yourself up to relax later.
Yeah.
So I do think that is definitely something that's maybe drawn some ire, and you could argue that, you should be on her side and she maybe doesn't need this, but I think we'd all argue at the table that it allows her longevity and allows her to be her best self from here all the way through because she's taking that time and establishing doing the work early as opposed to later. So it's a really interesting story. I'll happily take 2 weeks off for self-care if I'm allowed.
For a little test, right? Yeah, you got to prove this, right?